Welcome, everyone, to Real 33. I am your host, Rick Haney. And joining me, as always, is my radical co-host, Brandon Shaw. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Rick. How you doing?
Oh, man, I can't complain. And if I did, no one would listen, you know?
Hey, man, I'm excited about what we have going on here, man. Let's talk about the Real 33 podcast.
Yeah, I am so excited. I have been a fan of the BMX film Rad for 34 years. I was the last kid in my neighborhood to see it, which I was shamed for. I still am shamed for to this day, but that doesn't matter. Love BMX. I was never a racer, but I grew up with this film. I love the sport, and I can't let it go, man. That's why I'm here.
Hey, that's why I'm here too, brother. I mean, I grew up riding bicycles in the 80s. You know, I first saw something about BMX racing in a Boys Life magazine. I go into a little mini mart. There's a Mongoose Pro class, and I saw this. I went and bought the face mask and goggles at the local Walmart or somewhere, like $20. And I pretended I was a BMX racer in my local neighborhood jumping curbs, you know?
Yeah.
And then this movie came out and, made it even that much more exciting. But I did race in the 80s, but, you know, you don't have to race to enjoy BMX. Just to ride is enjoyment, you know? Hell, now I don't even ride. I just watch and I enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, I'm too old for it now. And I got two kids that, take away all my energy. So I'd give anything to go back, but I can't. Rad was just, like I said, I was the last kid in my neighborhood to see it. I actually, my friend and I, my best friend actually built a racetrack in the woods for all the kids in the neighborhood. We took part in it. It was a huge memory. It was my favorite memory from my childhood. And I did it all before I'd even seen the movie. After I saw the movie, it inspired me to basically gather everybody up, have an actual qualifying race. We had a championship. Man, I'll tell you, we were all Cru Jones, and it was the best time of my life. And that's why I'm here.
Well, cool, man. First of all, let me just say something. You're not too old to start because one of my good friends started riding at a very much higher level, let's say, when he was probably in his 50s.
Yeah.
And speaking of that friend, I think you might know him, man. You guys welcome Bill Allen right now, Cru Jones from the movie Rad.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, what's up,
Bill?
How's
Glad to have you.
Good to see you guys. It's a cool day to be here, dudes.
So Bill Allen, man, Cru Jones, talk to us about what's been going on, what's happening, and let's just kind of keep it brief, but and let's talk about the future of these podcasts.
Dude, I can't believe it. This phenomenon is only getting bigger. We thought we were catching the tail end of it when we started hanging out, and truly it's only getting more popular. And now that people can legally get it, and I believe it's going to be streaming soon, but now they can get a 4K copy in their hands, and it's just reinvigorated the whole Rad movement. It's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Now, Rick, what most people don't know is how me and Bill connected. We got together back in 2009. I threw a big party celebrating my friends that were Olympian. You know, BMX was in the Olympics for the first time in 2008. And me and Bill kind of connected. We'll have a long story about that, some other podcast down the road to tell the details of that. It's pretty interesting, I'd say. And here we are 11 years later, man. We're still keeping things rad, right, Bill?
Well, that's right. Yeah, South by Southwest was canceled. We were going to premiere it there. And then, of course, Alamo Draft Houses had us booked throughout the country. So all of that, I believe, is going to take place next year because guess what? These guys, they can't get enough of it. They're more adamant in a lot of cases than Star Wars fans or Star Trek fans. They want to be a part of any certainly any mass gathering that goes on or any new news that we may have. And I think there is going to be some new news soon. So yeah, there's a life in all this. And I think it's going to just keep on going.
You know, Rick, Rad has been held at bay for a long time. And Bill said it, we thought we met back in the day, like, this may not ever happen. And now it is. And Bill's always had hope. He's always been very positive about it. I hate to say that at times I was almost like, well, it may not happen, Bill. We just deal with it. But he's right. I mean, what's happening now is something we've been hoping to happen. And for the first time ever, there's a 4K out, man, and they're embracing it. They were going to have it at theaters until the Corona came around. But Corona can't stop Rad, Bill, right?
Okay, so the 4K version of Rad has just been released. Like this week, the first copies have been sent out from Vinegar Syndrome. And that's just kind of blown up the whole rad world. So I've been doing a lot of online business. I sell a lot of copies of my books online, and that's kind of been exploding since the whole re-release happened. And we've just been having a lot of fun with it.
Hey, Rick, let me ask you a question. Do you own Rad?
I have the VHS copy.
You have the VCR,
original
the old
that story I
VHS
wrote that I sent you guys. My buddy Steve used to reserve a copy. Our teacher had worked at night as worked at a video store down the street from us, and he always kept an extra copy for Steve and I. And Steve moved away, and the video store closed, and our teacher was like, "You can have this if you don't bother bringing it back," and I still have it.
Awesome. You know, what's funny is we're going to talk real quickly. We'll get in future podcasts about details about the Rad, the ins and out. But I thought today we might just kind of talk about how we even just got here. You know, Rick, you were a part of the Rad Army. And
yes, sir.
And you were talking back in the day, and you contacted Bill, I guess, about doing some stuff. And we get those kind of contacts all the time, right, Bill?
About every hour. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. And, you know, luckily, because of Corona, I went down there to hang out with Bill and talk some business and sit around in his backyard in a camper for about 5 days. And we had some rad events. We decided to call up Rick. You know, I'll be honest, Bill, you know, we get so much of these things and they don't always pan out. So I was a little bit skeptical. We called up Rick, and then he sent back this little podcast sizzle reel teaser. And I loved it. I was like, this guy's the real deal. Let's move forward. I mean, how did you feel about that, Bill?
I thought Rick has been great from Jump Street, and as you say, very professional, but also very knowledgeable and excited to do this just for the passion of it. So he's the right mix of professional ability and yet childlike kind of outlook on this movie. So I think it's going to be a great little series.
I appreciate you guys saying that, and the truth be told, I haven't yet grown up, so that's also in my favor.
Well, I'm 57. They say if you haven't grown up by the time you reach 50, you don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Rick, you have a background in this? Talk about Rick for a minute.
Well, like I said, you know, I was the last kid in my neighborhood to see the film, and once I did it literally changed my life. I mean, I was a kid with a BMX bike and a paper route, and I thought that, you know, Cru Jones was actually speaking to me personally, just like every other kid that watched the film.
No, I was actually talking to you, Rick. It's freaky. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, it is freaky because everything comes around, right? See? Yeah. So,
Rick, I was actually talking about your background in podcasting and radio and such.
Yeah. Well, you know, as far as that goes, you know, I've had podcasts in the past, different subjects, and I was in radio for a long time. I used to live in Maine. I lived in a small town in Maine. You probably heard of it, Bangor, Maine, the home of Stephen King. He was my baseball coach when I was right around the time Rad came out.
No, he wasn't.
So, yeah, he was.
I need photographic evidence of this, dude.
It was a travel team. We tried it for one summer. It was the summer before. He's got an article in the New Yorker about the team that went to the Little League World Series, and his son was on that team, and his son was a year behind me in high school, in school.
Wow.
And he the season before that was the team that I was on, and we didn't even come close. I don't even think we won the town championship. So we he wanted to call us the Bangor Buttheads, and that didn't really work out. So he was an interesting cat. And you know, years later, he and I did business together. I was a photographer in that town, and he owns a radio station, and they were the sponsor of, I did a historical photo project, and his radio station actually sponsored the whole thing. So I can say that I've been business partners with Stephen King safely.
That's pretty cool.
So that's kind of a highlight.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that's where my whole creative background kind of sprung from that. And that's how I got into radio, and just my life is really all about doing creative projects. I kind of abandoned the whole 9-to-5 career thing, you know, a long time ago. Got a little scary when I started having kids, but I haven't failed yet. So here I am.
Very cool. Well, my situation is, I've been involved in a lot of different things, but I did have I'd raced as a kid BMX. I had a very good BMX team for many, many years in the USA BMX racing program. At the time, it's called ABA. And, my pro racer was Greg Romero was a trainer for a couple of the athletes that got us some medals. And that brought me and Mr. Cru Jones, Bill Allen together. And then we just started doing things and going, what can we do the next level? And just over time, it started kind of growing. And next thing I know, like one of our memorable times, because it was on Facebook today, Bill, it's been, I guess, 5 or 6 years since it happened, but I shared it earlier. But when we went to X Games, I mean, it was like a miracle moment for us. I mean, I got to say that's one of our best times together. And really what happened at X Games that year was really just spectacular. We couldn't have paid for a better time, I don't think, and it was kind of given to us. But we started this rad kind of movement and a little bit more organized as such, and we started kind of by accident the Rad Army, kind of the official Rad Army, and then all of a sudden this thing called Hell Track came back, which that was an amazing trip for us to be on. A lot of people were involved in that, both the people from the movie, the stars, and, lots of fans from all over the world. I mean, I remember a big group from Australia came in. And, we've been kind of like going, what's next? We've had some pretty cool stuff coming at us, and then things have happened. And now what's next apparently is this podcast, man. So I'm really excited about it. I know the fans have been kind of waiting for the next big thing to happen. And this is going to be it, I believe, for now, till we figure out the movie situation, the theaters, and getting back and doing events again. My other business is doing events, and that was kind of put on hold. And, we had some really rad, spectacular events. I mean, we've hung out some celebrities, had some really cool parties at some famous places. And I think the movement's going to grow stronger, bigger, better. And I think luckily the movie coming out on the 4K is really helping us get some more
Mine
legs.
arrives tomorrow.
What do you think, Bill?
Oh, dude, it's only just starting. That's all. I mean, like I said, it's only snowballing, and it's like a beach ball. You tried to keep under the water for so long, and then it's just going to pop up. So now it's kind of popped up over the surface. It's out of the closet, so to speak. And yeah, now that people are scheduling events, there's going to be actual rad event schedules. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. I think we all are.
Man, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's exciting. Rick, tell us about some of the stuff we're going to be doing on the weekly podcast, like some of the features.
Well, I mean, we've got some people that were involved with the film that are interested. That also includes cast members as well as actual riders that were in the film. So we can look forward to that. What I'm looking forward to most is some of the behind the scenes stories, from some of the riders, and especially, from Bill's experience, what that was like. I mean, Bill, you essentially came from TV and went right to when you were on Hill Street Blues when Hal Needham contacted you, correct?
I did. I'd done actually a couple of movies at that point and a little TV. So yeah, I was green, but I had some experience and very little experience as a bicyclist. I could ride a bike. But when I walked onto the set, that was a whole new experience. I think anybody would have just been blown out. I just didn't even know such a thing existed. And all of a sudden I'm around the best riders in the world. And the one that gets talked about least probably is Jose Inez, who did the backflip. And that was just mind melting at the time. And I think the movie benefited so much from that being woven into the storyline, the backflip. If you think about it, it was at the beginning, the middle, and the end, and it kind of resolved the movie and finished Hell Track in the most spectacular fashion you can imagine. So yeah, the impact was great. And the tricks are still great. And now there's the whole nostalgia factor going on. So now old guys are showing it to their kids and grandkids even. And yeah, it's a brand new day.
Wow.
Yeah, I think one of the best things about this, Rick, is that, me and Bill have had the pleasure of we've done a lot of the screenings, right, Bill? And what's cool about it is, Bill will walk through and talk about what happened. We'll put pause and give some really nice insight and explain why maybe Bart's not, bicycle boogieing. He's just kind of standing there very still. And all these things that people don't know. And Bill will tell you, my favorite part is to watch the film and it's a great movie. We all love it, but there's those little things like, why did they not cut that out? And, we look for little things, that are in the movie. We talk about little hidden things and, certain number plates and, whose picture on the back wall and who put it there. And all these things are going to come out in these podcasts, man, all these stories. And what's really fascinating, and Bill will attest to this, is that it seems like we find something new every day that we didn't know about. Like last year, one of the coolest things, Bill, for me was when we found out that Gork, he's a very, popular guy, he's still involved in BMX, but Gork actually, wrote this article for a fake magazine that they're holding up in the clubhouse, and we never knew the details of any of that. And, Gork actually did our 33rd anniversary sticker for us because he's a great artist. So those little things keep popping up, little people that said, hey, I was in this scene and I did this. And, it's just never going to end. We're going to find details about this movie that no one's talked about or known about that just keep popping up, man, thanks to social media and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that keeps this whole thing going is, guys that are coming out of the woodwork have not seen this film in over 30 years, and they see all this traction on Facebook, these groups. I mean, one of the groups, I think Jeremy Moser's group's got like over 10,000 people in it. So, we'll be sure to have Jeremy on and Dan Stafford and some of the other guys who are really active in operating these fan pages. I'm just really excited to hear from those guys who grew up at the same time I did. And, there's a lot of nostalgia. And I think that's where the magic actually come into play, is that, this was such a wholesome story, and it was so perfectly executed certainly by you, Bill, and the other writers and actors and everybody that was involved. It hit a nerve at the right time for a generation, and that's why it stuck with us. And we're gonna have as many of those people in here as we can to just kind of go over what their experiences were and how it affected them, and we're just gonna have fun with this.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I can't see why we can't have something really special and keep the dialogue going. There's a lot of ongoing events that are going to be coming up and a lot of stuff to be talking about.
Absolutely.
Hey, one thing I wanted to also mention is that we're going to involve the people out there that can actually write in for questions, submit pictures. We're going to get people involved in this show. So actually, every other, or every episode, we'll have something that ties into the fans,
Yeah.
It's not just about the stars. It's going to involve everybody. That includes the fans out there listening right now. And we'll do giveaways and all sorts of neat little stuff to send them, for free swag and such.
Yeah, I encourage anybody listening to go to our Facebook page at Real 33. Actually, it's Real 33 Podcast. And like our page, follow us, chime in with any questions, any stories you might have. We'd love to hear from you.
Wow. This is great. I got to wrap this up. My wife's trying to get it inside, but I think we got enough.
Yeah. Bill, thanks so much. I appreciate you coming on. It's great to talk to you as always. And we will catch up soon, my friend.
I love it. Yeah, we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.
Okay, buddy.
Well, that was Bill Allen himself, Cru Jones, man, from the movie Rad from 1986. Still around today, still being rad. Actually rides all the time, Rick, at Huntington Beach with his buddies. He's trained under the umbrella of Martin Aparijo, so pretty cool. Does surfers, things like that. But did you ever think you'd be talking to Bill Allen, Cru Jones here in 2020 back in 1986?
I never once thought it would be possible. I certainly talked about it with my buddy Steve when we used to ride around the track we made. I said to him, you know what? Someday I'm gonna meet Cru and we're gonna ride together and it's gonna be awesome. And he said, that's just fantasy.
You're down to meet Cru Jones, and other young boys around the world are trying to meet Lori Loughlin and Foxy and them.
Well, I'll be honest, the conversations we had about Lori and Foxy and certainly with Tiger as well, those were different conversations altogether that I'm not going to go on air about, but it was the age. They were beautiful. They made the film astronomically beautiful. That scene in the gym with Foxy and the outfit and her eyes and her lips, and oh my God, what an absolute treasure.
Let me give a little bit of a teaser for those that are listening, okay? Some of the stuff we're going to talk about is, first of all, how the people were chosen that were chosen for the movie, why they chose like Canada to shoot this in, why it was in a high school, how all this came about and, who was chosen. All those little details are going to be coming out over these podcasts. It's really fascinating because each person we interview and talk to will have something that even Bill Allen himself don't even know about. They'll say something like, I've never heard that. And I've done this for 100 times now at this point, and I'm still hearing stories to this day that I've never known about, little details that are really cool. And that's one of my favorite parts about this, is to dissect the movie up and understand that, everyone brings a different little part of the story, So you're going to love it. The fans are going to love it. I
cannot wait.
And yeah, it's going to be awesome. And we're going to talk about BMX in general, because BMX is still alive. It's in the Olympics. It's on ESPN. You got racing, you have freestyle. Well, that movie incorporated both racing and freestyle in, like, when it first started.
And nobody had ever done that yet. And, I'm hoping that we can hear from Sam Bernard at some point to talk about what he saw in Huntington Beach. And he said, well, this is exactly what I'm looking for, and how he connected with Hal Needham. And basically, those two guys, and the way they kind of culminated all these different cultures. You had the freestyle culture, you had the racing culture, and all of that came from the motocross era of the 1970s. And when you got into the 80s, it just exploded. And here we are today. We just can't let go of it. It's crazy, the legacy that this has had.
I just think the 80s are such a fascinating time to be born and live, because there were so many transitions. You went from, like, wearing rocker T-shirts to Bugle Boys, as you put an intro, to, tight jeans, to, loose fitting jeans. It's just a weird time, man. So many things were going on. There was so much diversity. And a lot of it came baper around, like the tapered pants, which is funny about Rad, is because Rad, if you watch the movie, the styles, it's a lot of these guys are from California. California is one of the places, like, a trendsetter. And you go to this part of the world, and you see people in the movie that kind of have the preppy look, and the people are just kind of the dated look, because it isn't a place that's probably 2 or 3 years behind times. And that's another fascinating part of the movie itself. So, man, like I said, I'm enjoying this. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a nice ride. And, I look forward to the future of our podcast, man. So,
I can't wait. I thank you guys so much for, giving me a shot. This is my chance to prove to the world that I wasn't lying 30 years ago when I told everybody how much I love this movie. Even guys, I was still riding in college, and my fraternity brothers were making fun of me for riding this little bike, doing tricks around the parking lot in my fraternity house. Joke's on you guys. Here I am. I stuck with it.
Look at that, man. Listen, I've been one of your hosts.
Yeah.
I'm Brandon Shaw, one of your hosts, and my co-host has been Rick Haney. I want to thank you guys for tuning in for our first ever podcast, man. Anything you want to say there, Rick, going out?
Thanks, everybody. Your enthusiasm has not gone unnoticed, and we are going to take this thing to the limit. Let's walk this sucker.
Cool.